Hi, and welcome to another IKTA Healing Talk. My name is Helmut, and I am here again with our friends Lora Kitty and Laura Philpott. Hi, guys.
Hello.
And of course, Kay Cordell Whitaker. Hi, Kay.
Hi.
And today we are going to talk about Kay's latest book, and we're going to ask her a couple of different questions about it. And the three I have is why, from all the teachings that Kata said, the ancient Peruvian teachings and the predynastic Egyptian teachings that Kate both teaches offer, why she chose to pick that material, the seven No Nos, to write a book about at this time. What does she hope to for the book to bring to the reader, and what does she hope that they take away from it? Of course, these are all related, but we're going to kind of break it up and ask one at a time and see where it goes. Ready?
Okay. And
So let me start with the first question.
please.
So, why, from all the teachings that these ancient teachings offer, you decided to publish this material right now?
Why the Seven No Nos? I know the title is kind of humorous. It's a bit funny. And it's always been that way. And that's when it first started way back when. It was a joke. The name was a joke. But the teachings were real. They were authentic. This comes out of mostly working with Domano and Chea Hetaka from Peru. And they spoke broken English, and they would notice, verbally to me, out loud, they would very politely, very sweetly and kindly tell me that what I was saying or what I was talking about or acting on was from blind beliefs. Perhaps it was something like judgment. That's one of the no-nos, judgment. And they would just say, no judgments. You don't want to go there. And say some other things they would typically say. And so it became almost humorous, because especially in the beginning, like everybody else, I stumbled over these no-nos, these things that I shouldn't be letting myself go into and concentrate on, and be putting that energy into myself and into the world. And like with the no-no, the judgments, we're literally condemning. We're not talking about discernment, being able to scientifically discern between things. We're talking about judgment as it's used in modern culture a lot, which means there's a condemning component there. And when you do that, anybody, it's like when you're pointing a finger, you got one person, you're pointing at one person, they're getting a nice black dart, bad energy dart, but you got three coming back at you. That energy is going in two directions at once. And you got a lot more of that exact energy that you just put out there going into you, and it's going into the person or the idea or the thing that you were judging and condemning. And most people think of, it's harmless. I'm just talking. I'm just thinking it. I'm just feeling it. They think those things are harmless, but they're not. We have a very strong energetic component that goes along with every single thing that we do. And that energetic component is with everything. It's part of everything. And the energy that comes out it's barbed, it's black, it's pointed like a dart, it's ugly, it's mean, it's degrading, and it's usually putting the person pointing that finger up on a pedestal, and then up the hierarchy, getting better than, more important than. And we have a culture that thinks this hierarchy is a real thing. But it isn't. It's just pretend. They think that hierarchy is real and that they have to get up the hierarchy and be better than everybody else, do everything better than everybody else, and everybody else is less than. And they're looking for that in life. They're looking for that in people, and they're looking for that in ideas, and they're looking for that in products and everything. Even if they're like a gardener out in their garden and they've got all these live plants and all the live life around it, like bugs and birds and bunnies hopping by and stuff. You'd think that would be softening them up a little bit, but no, they even gotta judge the different plants. And this one's better than that one, and this species is better than that one, and this one's all puny, and so we have to rip it out. And there's an energy that's being created with that thinking that is putting stress through the whole body. It's every time you do it, you're surging up the cortisol in your body, and people just don't have any clue what they're doing. And this is every day, all day, and most people in the world, they just don't understand the non-material parts of the world. They don't understand things that they can't see or touch, things that are just energetic. But it's not just part of our world. It's the bigger part. It's the larger part. And I like to describe that with a quick description of the hieroglyph for the goddess Bast, B-A-S-T, Bast. She's the cat goddess, not the big lioness goddess or the little cat goddess that's usually sitting there all proper and pretty. And they're cats. We were beautiful, remarkable, smart. The goddess Bast, her symbol, hieroglyph, is starts at the top with this curved line. It's sometimes thought of as being the horn of an animal like a cow. And sometimes it's thought of as being a crescent moon, but it's sitting right on top of this box. She wears this on her head, this whole symbol. So this crescent moon is on the top, and that crescent moon is the female symbol. It means a womb. The thing that makes a female very distinctive and very, very, very important to the continuation of life is her womb and the health of the womb and making children and making the next generation. Something has to make the next generation to keep it going, keep life going through time. And this is the womb. The womb is also associated with the universe, which is the whole universe. This is the non-linear, non-material part of the universe. This is the female, the unseen, part of the universe. It goes on forever. This crescent moon, this cup, this bowl, it just goes on forever. It contains an endless amount of love and creation and all the things we need for life in our 3D time-space world. And it's where the physical meets this total non-linear mystery where everything is birthed from. What does matter come out of? Where's it coming from? And it's birthed from this womb, from this endless womb that is everything through the universe. It's everything in us and everything out there. The bottom of the symbol, my microphone is getting in the way. It's touching the womb, but it is a rectangle. It's a long rectangle. Goes down. And at the top of the rectangle, it has a vertical line, and then it has a horizontal line. And they touch. It's right up at the top up there. This is the male symbol. It's a phallus, a penis. It's what facilitates the spark that ignites the womb and stirs up some creation, and then there's creation in the universe through the womb of the universe, the womb of life. Now the womb's non-linear, unseen, because it's another realm, it's another level or dimension. There's a lot of talk these days about the dimensions and fifth dimension and on and on and on. And those concepts are about non-linear, non-material places. Those are whole worlds, whole universes. And there are many others besides our 3D space-time. So this male, this is the material world. And the male is associated with things in the material world. And they're together. They're touching each other. They're together. They're in union. This is a symbol of sex. This is the symbol of the continuation of humanity and the other species that use sex as their vehicle for making their young and having a next generation and a next generation. So this material rectangle is small and it's finite. It's absolutely finite. It's just this big, and that's it. And it's physical. And it doesn't change easily. On its own, especially, it doesn't change much. The womb is endless. It's endless space. It's the womb of the universe, endless space. And that's what the womb in woman or anything female represents. In the ancient teachings, it represents the womb of the universe and infinite amount of creation. And so that the generations keep repeating, keep coming, and we don't die out. So that's a visual picture in the short Bast story of about her and her symbol, and why I picked the No Nos, because the No Nos, they're non-material. They are a concept that that puts a framework around how we should be, we have to birth ourselves. Even though our mothers birthed us, as we are living our lives, we have to rebirth ourselves. We have to renew ourselves. We have to make things better, newer, more efficient. And so we remake ourselves all the time. This birthing. And the no-nos are part of this remaking ourselves. We have to learn how to think differently. That's what the no-nos do. They teach us how to think differently. When you've been making the wrong kind of thinking that comes from our modern culture, our whole modern culture, we think of it as being modern, but it has actually been around for several millennia, a bunch of millennia, a long time. And so this kind of upside down, backwards thinking, this corruption in thinking, that's what the no-nos try to set right inside you so that they're right side up again. When we have this upside down, backwards, turny wheel thinking from the modern world, it's a corrupt way of thinking. It's corrupt, it's broken, it's upside down and backwards. And we see it breaking from the weight of this. It's falling apart. And the No-Nos book teaches you how to step out of that world. Don't be part of that world. Step away from it. It's a broken train, and it's run away. It's just gone amok, and it's going to do you damage, and it's time to get away from it. And we have to learn how to get away from it by changing what's inside ourselves. We have to change the way we think, and we have to think in other kinds of ways, giving credit to where we have not given credit. The ancients say every single thing is alive. Every atom, every piece of dirt, every rock, every tree, every plant, all the animals, all the people, the sky, the waters, everything is alive. The stars are alive. The space between the stars is alive. It's all alive. The womb of the universe is alive. And that's where everything starts. These concepts that are so different, they're opposite of what the modern culture carries around and keeps repeating and teaching its young the same lies, the same brokenness. They keep perpetuating the broken culture, broken thinking. Broken thinking, when you follow what it does, what it is, it always makes the endless wars, the forever wars. Always, always does. And if we want to step out of the forever wars, we have to step out of the forever war that we're made inside ourselves. With this bad thinking, with this condemning, we condemn ourselves. We have all these beliefs we're on to. That's another no-no. We make all these judgments. We assume things that we don't have any business assuming. It's just all made up. It's all made up crap. Blurt it out. We just dump it out. And then we want to be attached to it and we defend it like it's real truth. And it isn't. And that's what the no-nos are about.
So I guess you covered the first two questions already. How would you like for the readers to take away these gifts? How can they take away these gifts from reading the book, from getting into the material?
They can, yes. But I think we should probably hear more about the first question and how you guys think of it and feel it and how you've been learning it. Yeah.
Well, I remember years ago when we got the list of the no-nos. When I first started studying with you, the no-nos, and I had one of the no-nos is no arrogance. And one of the things you talk in the book is IKTA, no IKTA, which stands for I know that already. And when I was given that list of these no-nos, I had major case of IKTA. It's like, I know these already. I know these 7. I know they're bad. I mean, when you read the book and you see the no-nos, I'm sure I won't be the only one with a case of IKTA. You're like, yeah, I know this already. It's just like these are, but it's the practicing of the breaking down the habit of them that I didn't know already. It definitely wasn't doing. It's one thing to, the awareness of it, but in the ancient teachings, it's the practice of it that we're not doing in a modern culture. We're saying, oh yeah, judgment's bad, expectations bad, assumptions bad. All these no-nos are bad, but we're not practicing them. We're not doing the practices. And that's what I love so much about the title, the 7 No-Nos, a guide to awakening and freedom. And I can say personally, that was my experience. It's been my experience. The more I navigate the no-nos, the more freedom I personally have. And it's awakening. I mean, it's awakening, as Kay, you were saying, into that nonlinear. Getting out of just the physical world, you practice these no-nos that, I thought I knew already. But the exploration of them I'd never done. I can honestly say I wasn't aware of the habits I had with them and what those habits were doing to my life and how they were controlling my life. There's wallpaper ones, as we call, that you're not even aware. They're so they're hanging around all the time. And that freedom, once you recognize them and you start new habits of not going there. I learned a new habit of not having an opinion. It was like, I love Lora Philpott once said, one of the most freeing things she learned to say was, I don't know. I don't know. And so I started practicing that. And wow, not having an opinion, being okay with not knowing. It's one of those assumption, the no-nos assumption and expectations that lead us into that I know it already. And in our society, we're expected to come out of the womb with like all of the knowledge ever. And maybe we did and we forgot it all. But we definitely, as an adult, don't know. Definitely don't know it all. And the practice of the no-nos, the really practicing of them, it makes all the difference in the world. And that's what I love about this book and this time and this place and this backwards turning will to turn it right again, is getting rid of these wallpaper habits that we go to as much as we think we know it already. I can guarantee until you start practicing them, you've really not explored them. Those are my thoughts.
Good thought. Good thoughts.
And I'll share mine about the no-nos.
Hang on a second, Laura. I forgot at the beginning, to introduce the book. I thought we should do that before we go on.
That'd be good.
So this is the book, and it's available for pre-order on Amazon, and it will be released in just less than a week, 6 days. So if you want to check it out, there's the QR code and the link and the cover, and you can read more about that. And you can also go to the website of the book called the Seven No Nos, either with the number 7 or 7 just written out, the 7nonos.com. All right, Lora.
Well, my first experiences with these no-nos, well, first of all, we don't often question how we're emotionally enmeshed in our world, and when I started learning the no-nos, it was like, wow, it's really about communication and relationships. We have a web of relationships all the time, and we don't seem to question our beliefs. And the no-nos really they highlight this not questioning. It's like when Laura mentioned that I do not know what a thing is, I don't know. It's okay not to know. Because, and you always say, Kay always says, question everything, because we're in a habit of perceiving our world in a way that's very limiting. I had a dream the other day, and I call it a teaching dream because it so emphasized this. I found myself in my dream walking into this room, and it was dark, and it was actually, there felt like there was another being in there, but it was me too. And that particular was more masculine feeling, but that didn't want any change. It liked it the way it was. It was predictable. It had these strong beliefs about how it was going to perceive. But this other part of me came in and was like opening up doors and windows and making it bright. And it was interesting how there's parts of me that don't want to change because it's enmeshed in me and their habits. And there's a part of me that really just wants to throw everything open and start learning, because, we get so enmeshed in what we believe things should be and the value that we give them. Well, and we don't even question why am I giving it that value? Why am I not opening up the windows here and looking at it a different way? Because if I continue to do it that way, I'm going to get this particular experience. And these early teachings, these no-nos, are the first step to really getting to know inside. Well, what are my beliefs about my world that I'm perceiving? That's why I say it's about communication and relationship. The relationship you have within yourself and the relationship you have with the planet, your spouse, your animals. I mean, all your books all the teachings are about that very thing, that web of relationships and how you perceive and communicate. What do you want to communicate? If you're happy with your life the way it's been going, there's a part of you that might not want to change. But there's so much more available until you start questioning that unquestionable. And the no-nos help you question those things that are inside you that are just automatically perceiving things in the same way, the same habits. And it really gives you control. And you start to see, let's open this window here. Let's get a different view. And that's what the no-nos help you do. It's the first step of realizing you have control over what you're going to perceive and how you're going to perceive it. And then you're going to communicate in a different way because you're going to perceive it differently. You're going to see where we're all connected. Yeah. The no-nos are the first step to really taking control of your attention and your awareness and what you put your value to.
Yeah. I had one other, in the book too, Kay, the exploration of these no-nos is the practices. One of the main components of the practices is feeling. And that's one of the things we think we're feeling things, and we are, but it's in a very limited way, a very boxed in world way, like Laura's dream was showing. It's in a box, and we can only perceive certain things when we're in that box. And in the practices, there is that exploration of being in the no, being in an expectation, say for one of the no-nos, and then letting that expectation going and feeling again. And it's such a simple thing, which I love. I mean, you look at this book and it's little, but it's those practices done over and over again, that feeling of how do you feel in your body? What are you sensing now? When you let that expectation go, or that assumption or that judgment go, the arrogance go, or the blind belief, you just all of a sudden, it's like the windows are open. Like I keep going back to Laura's dream was awesome. The windows are open, and the nonlinear, not just nonlinear, but senses here, the understanding of what somebody more accurately said. When you're not applying those, there's just truth. And it's that truth that is the awakening, and it's that truth that's the freedom. It just is. I just love, I think, I helped you lay out the book, but I might get the number wrong. The book alone has like 13 practices, I believe, or something along that line, or 11 practices, but they're potent practices. They're very potent practices in that it shifts you back into accurate feeling, not just emotions, not the emotion sides, but accurately using your strongest sense, your sense of feeling.
I say it's turning my attention within, turn my attention to what, how I'm looking at something, how I'm perceiving something. And it literally is like opening up a window, because you could see where you've limited yourself. You could see where you had judgment, and therefore you're only seeing here. You're not seeing here. Yeah, the no-nos is just an amazing tool.
Yeah. The book, it comes off so, which I love, Kay, that you made it in such a digestible, fun way that it just like, you're like, ancient teachings, we all know this is bad, but it is, I mean, the more you study it, it was like you've taken profound understandings that are ancient and put them in modern day language and practices that are fun. Sometimes it's I think some of the things, seeing in yourself the lies that you've been telling yourself, especially when you go to the blind belief, there may be a little glug, but you kind of have to get past that little chunky, let it go, release it, to then, be able to really speak the truth, hear the truth. But it's just beautifully done.
I want to share a little story. It's like, so I've been teaching these to my boys, and it's working when they go, oh, that's a no-no.
You're right. When they're telling you it was a no-no, that's such a girl. Yeah, I love that it would happen. But that's you're kind of doing with your boys, the world I want to see is where, these no-nos, the 7 no-nos are so basic that we can start teaching our kids them. They're not heavy and hard. It was like we can start teaching the kids that we have. Oh, where did I put it? We actually made a poster. It was inspired by Lora. If you go to the 7 No-Nos website that Helmut mentioned, there's access to our Discord group, our community. And there's a section that has all these freebies. But one thing is the poster. And we created this because Laura Philpott has this poster up on her refrigerator for her family to see. And having a family dynamic with no judgment, no expectation, no assumptions, no blind beliefs, no jumping to conclusions, that would be big in my household. It was just like that type of family and rolling out to this world, it was just like, that's the community I want to live in. Those people who are practicing these things, that's the world I want to see happen. So I get why Kay published the book now. I can answer that
world
question.
need. Our modern culture is drowning in the no-nos. They've learned how to do them and overdo them, and they need steps. Like they need some kind of a ladder to get them out of the chaos, that upside down, backwards turning wheel culture, chaos, and the forever wars. They got to climb out of it. They got to get out of it and just start being themselves, make their own world, find others, want the same thing, trying to go the same direction, get out of the dying world. And don't let it pull you down, because you're carrying the dying world inside you with these beliefs. And if you stay there, it'll pull you with it as it totally crashes and goes off the cliff. So that's why I wrote the book. Plus, I promised the Hetakas, I promised my teachers, they wanted me to write this stuff down, write a book, and teach people who want to learn and heal people who want healing. And I made that promise. I think it was 1987-ish. I'm not good with dates. When I get in the past, I'm not so good with them. They are mooshed together. But it was around that time. Yeah. So, you say there's another question? You got a third question?
Well, you covered it, essentially. You all covered it. What do you want the reader to take away from it? And we think thoroughly covered that. But I don't know, is there an aspect you want to add of how they can bring those into their lives and stop engaging in?
It's something that they have to decide to put their attention on. And it helps when you have something like the book, like a book like the No-Nos, to read and to go back to, and something that helps point out when you're making that mistake, like Lora's boys who think, oh, that's a no-no. We got to learn how to do it to ourselves. We have to be able to stop ourselves from utilizing these very, very deeply ingrained habits. Very deeply ingrained. We've had these habits for so long, and not just us with this lifetime, this one lifetime we're in, but for the many millennia that this forever wars culture has been going on, these habits have been there. That's where they started. Way back then. It's a good 12,000 years ago, at least 12,000 years ago, maybe more. But when the culture has these kinds of things that no matter what language you're speaking or what country you've decided to move into and what kind of people you're around, we've learned these thinking habits and these behavior habits. And that's so deep. It's so deep in us. And we never have questioned it. Our parents never questioned it. Their parents never questioned it. That becomes a huge cultural dynamic, a thought form that it just hangs in the air and keeps reinforcing itself keeps whispering to us all these different thought forms about all these no things and the corruption and the lies and the fear, the powerlessness. It just keeps helping to perpetuate it on and on. But if we don't think about them, if we get them out of our own head and our own system, it's like we are addicted to them. We literally are addicted to this way of thinking and feeling habitually. The last no is no negative perceptions. And that's where people get into this dynamic of everything they see, they immediately find something negative about it. It may not be there, they may have to make it up, but they have a negative thing about it. Something's wrong. It's no good. We don't want that. We don't want to do that. We don't want to go there. We don't want to eat that. The negative thinking. And it's so deep and so thorough, and it's lasted for millennia. That thought form is so big. So, yeah, this the depth and breadth of the corrupt culture, the forever wars culture, the upside down and backwards turning wheel energy culture. Just imagine that for a minute, that it's at least 12,000 years old. It's probably older. And it's had its growing periods and its periods where it starts to die off and people get into a much freer state and thrive. That just goes back and forth, up and down through the millennia. We can only look back through the histories that we have and the stories from people about what happened before Noah's flood, and these teachings come from before the flood. And that's one of the reasons why they are so valuable. And they're so clean, they're so pristine, and they're simple. They simplify life. We've learned to think things, spin things with our mind, who thinks it's the dictator of us all, and it just goes round and round in circles. You never get anywhere using just your mind. Helmut, you haven't spoken on these issues.
Well, the one thing I wanted to add, if you live with the no-nos, our world is like full of love and beauty and wonders and experiences that are just absolutely amazing. But as long as you engage with the no-nos, you're blocking that world from yourself.
Yeah.
And you only can get to a certain level of learning and growing and waking up, because the no-nos don't allow you to go past that. And there's a whole reality and a whole world and a whole wonder of experiences that are waiting for you beyond the no-nos. When you let them go, that entire reality and that entire world opens up for you to engage and live fully.
Yes.
You guys have touched on that, but I just wanted to mention that too.
Beautiful.
Thanks, Helmut.
Yeah. Another thing that about these nasty thought forms that the no-nos are trying to teach you about, being a thought form, it's the nature of a thought form. If you don't feed it, it dies. It just withers away into nothingness and is gone. If we stop feeding the beast, the forever wars beast, the upside down, backwards turning energy beast. If we stop feeding it, it'll die off. And we will be free of it from our atmosphere, literally, and from our world. And it won't keep whispering to us. We'll be able to get the rest out of ourselves, and it'll all just die away. Because if we just stop feeding it, it disappears. The monster's gone.
Let's do that.
I want more of that.
Mhm.
Are we going to leave it at that for today?
Yeah.
All right. Thank you. Thank you, everybody. Thanks for joining. You can check out the book on Amazon or go to the 7nonos.com website. A lot of cool stuff there to explore. And we see you next time.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you. Love you.
Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. Love you.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.